Okay, this is lesson 69, guys, and this is on scientific notation, basically taking it a little bit deeper, okay? Now, the very first thing I want you to remember about scientific notation, okay, I'm going to write that word, scientific notation, okay? Scientific notation, all right? Whenever we're working with scientific notation, I think probably one of the most important things you need to remember is that the decimal, I'm going to put a star right here, the decimal always goes after the first non-zero number. Okay? The decimal always goes after the first non-zero number. Okay? So here we've got a scientific notation written out, but there's something wrong with this. So everybody look at this. It says 25 times 10 to the negative fifth power. And the thing, example 1 tells me to write this in scientific notation. Okay? And you immediately probably think to yourself, it already is in scientific notation because I've got my power of my 10 and my exponent. Okay? But there's a problem, and hopefully you see the problem. This is the problem. The decimal always should go after the first non-zero number. Okay? And right now, even though you can't see a decimal, where is it? Hopefully you remember that every number, at the end of every number, there's a decimal. Okay? But that's wrong. Okay? Because where is the decimal supposed to be? It's supposed to be here, after the first non-zero number. Okay? So, when we're working with problems like this, my encouragement is to do this. Step number 1, and write this out for me. Step number 1 is you're going to put this in standard notation. And what standard notation is, basically you're making it into a number with no power of 10 and no exponent. Okay? So let's go and do that step. Alright, so I've got 25 times 10 to the negative 5. Okay, and right now my decimal's here. Okay, and if I were to do this problem, hopefully you see that when I'm working with negative numbers, you're going to take your decimal to the left. If I was working with positive numbers, if this said positive 5 or just 5, we would move the decimal number to the right. Okay? But because it says negative 5, I'm going to take this decimal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to put my decimal there. Excuse me, there. Okay? And hopefully you remember that we will just fill in these with zeros. Okay? So this right here, put into scientific notation or standard notation, is 0.00025. Okay? Now, after you follow that method or that step, I want you to do step number 2. I want you to put the decimal after the first non-zero number. Okay? Okay? So, what we were saying a while ago when we were looking at this problem is that we wanted to put the decimal here. Okay? Now, so let's move back down to this one, and I want my decimal to go here now. Alright? So, let's take away this decimal that we have right there. Alright? And now this is where we want the decimal to be. So now, how many places to the left are after this decimal? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So then, step 3 is to write out the new scientific notation. Okay, now, so we wanted our decimal to be here, okay? So I'm going to put 2.5. And we're putting it in scientific notation, so I'm going to say times 10, and then you're going to count where you want your decimal to be, which is after the first, this is my first non-zero number. And then you're going to count how many places you went to the left when you were first starting out. And hopefully you see that it's 4, and because you went to the left, it's going to be negative. Okay, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is the correct way to write a scientific notation. Okay? 1, it follows the rule of the decimal should always go after the first non-zero number. First non-zero number, not at the end. Okay? And then it follows all these rest of these rules, and we finally get to it in its proper form. Alright, let's do a few more so you can practice this. I'm going to try to leave those rules up so you can see them still. Okay. Alright, so now it says this. Write 0.25 times 10 to the 4th power. And they want us to write this in scientific notation. And as you can see, you're probably thinking it already is, but hopefully by this point you're realizing, no, my decimal doesn't need to be here. It needs to be after the first non-zero number. Okay, which it should go there, which we'll get to that in a minute. But let's follow our steps so that we don't mess up, okay? I can't tell you how many people think, oh, that's supposed to be 3 or that's supposed to be 5, and already switch it and they mess up, okay? So I want you making sure that you follow these rules, 1, 2, and 3, to perform this problem. So let's put this in standard notation based on what's up here, okay? So I've got my 0.25 here, okay? And I can put my 0 if I want, if you want me. If it helps you, okay? And this is times 10 to the 4th power. And because it's a positive 4, which way are we going to move the decimal? Hopefully you remember that we're going to move it to the right. If it helps you to see this 10 to the 4th as 4 zeros, we kind of talked about that one day in class. So if it helps you to know that you're going to move your decimal 1, 2, 3, 4 like that, you can think of it that way, okay? But hopefully at this point you are already thinking by using the exponent. Okay, so let's go on and back down here to step number 1, and we're going to move this 4 places to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll put my decimal there. I'll erase that 0 just to help me look at it better. Alright, now as you can see, that is our new number, 2500, because now the decimal's here. Okay, it would not be here. Now, second step, put the decimal after the first non-zero number. Well, we want it to go here. So I'm going to erase this one that we're not going to be using anymore. Okay? Because it was in the beginning, remember? But that's not where we want it. We wanted it to move here. Okay? And now we're going to write out the new scientific notation using this number. Okay? So I have 2.5 times 10. And then we have to figure out how many exponents it is. Okay, we've written it in scientific notation so far, but let's finish it out. How many spots did you go? 1, 2, 3 to the right makes us have a 3, positive 3 right here. Okay? Hopefully you can easily see how this works. Okay? Hopefully you're understanding. That is lesson 69.